and started signing these executive orders. But I was like, okay, I'm still going to give it a minute. In fact, I'm the ranking member, the highest ranking Democrat on the DOGE subcommittee. And my chairwoman in that committee is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I even went and sat with her in her office for an hour, and we smiled and pretended like we could have some bipartisan conversations. And then we showed up for that very first committee hearing, and she did what she does. And I think, that has essentially evaporated. So we know what's up. We're going to be in the fight. We're the resistance for the next couple of years. And, as the Reverend said, 18 months is right around the corner. So we got to start organizing now.
Let me ask you this. Of all the terrible things he's done, he does $1 million a day. Which ones are most threatening and most impactful to your district in Albuquerque?
I mean, all of them, right? I mean, day one, he signs this executive order, essentially taking out all of the diversity, equity, and inclusion offices and staff. New Mexico is a minority majority state. We are a state that is Black, Brown, Indigenous, and that is a attack on the people of New Mexico. The executive order he signed 2 days ago, making English the only language of the United States. It is in our state constitution that Spanish is the other language of New Mexico. He's literally violating the state constitution of New Mexico because the border crossed us, by the way. So there is so much that he's doing every single day. He's firing thousands of New Mexicans. He's, these cuts that they're proposing in New Mexico, over 70% of our people are on Medicare and Medicaid. That will not only lead to literally probably the vast majority of New Mexicans losing healthcare, our entire healthcare system could collapse. Yeah. So we're not going to sit here and stand for it.
I think and Congressman Clark, we kind of touched on this earlier, because I don't know if people really understand, Roy and Angela. When they say they're coming for Medicaid, we only think of it in one context. But Medicaid also undergirds those who don't have Medicaid and keeps hospitals open. So when you take away Medicaid, you jamming everybody.
Oh, yeah. This is what I'm saying is, like, if you take away Medicaid, every hospital in the state of New Mexico is going to go bankrupt. So if you think it's hard to get in to see a specialist right now, after they got Medicaid, all of that's going away. This is not just going to affect low-income people, but it is going to affect low-income people. And as somebody who grew up in the system, somebody who would not be standing here today if it weren't for income supports and Medicaid and food stamps, it is, to me, not only immoral and unconscionable, but it's going to tear apart the fabric of our country.
So Albuquerque, you want to go get your sign back? Should we go get it back?
Let's go. We're gonna go down.
Y'all please stay out of jail. Y'all please stay out of jail. But thank you so much for joining us. I want to turn really quickly to we had some encouragement around not spending money. Our dear brother's head was plastered on a sign at the White House just a few weeks ago during a Black History Month reception. That is Reverend Jamal Bryant. Also here from Until Freedom are Angelo Pinto and Tamika Mallory. Y'all, we have to get into this because Latasha brought up Amazon. She brought up we don't need no designer goods, but we're also talking about Target. Jamal, you have exceeded 100,000 signers on this pledge around the Target fast. I want you to get into that. And Tamika and Angela, I want to hear from you as well on that.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. This is what Dr. King called the urgency of now. It is a critical moment, and we no longer have the question of community or chaos. It is absolute chaos, which is why we need community. I want to take a note really from across the border from our dear leader of Canada, who said, I don't want to, but I'm going to have to cut the power. Is that I supply, the Prime Minister said, power to 4 different states, and you're forcing my hand. I think that Black people don't realize how much power we wield with $2 trillion worth of spending power. And what has happened today at Target for them to say that their spending, their growth has gone down because of the economy and recession and tariffs, when the tariffs just started today. It is a reflection of what our power is. Black people, Angela, spend $12 million a day at Target. If we redirect that to our own ecosystem, what will that mean? The Montgomery bus boycott absolutely destabilized the South. not from speeches, but from redirected spending. And so I think that when it is that we saw the inauguration on January 20th and saw who was on the front row, it was not cabinet ministers, it was those who wield wealth. I would suggest that's what this president responds to. The wealth of what it is that we have has got to be redirected until we take white supremacy down to their knees. They don't even understand that the next step after civil rights is civil rights. Dr. King was assassinated because he was mobilizing the Poor People's Campaign. And they understand when marginalized and oppressed poor people come together, a revolution has to start. A super bad sister from Harvard University said we don't even need 100% participation, we just need 3%. If 3% of the populace do what a lot of our brave brothers and sisters did today and walk out and lift their voice, I think America's going to come to a screeching halt. We've got enough power to do it just with the number of people who are on today for the 24 hours. And let's not undermine or belittle the strength of what happened with the blackout on Friday. America's about to have an asthma attack and a hyperventilator because we understand what our worth is. We know what our value is. And we've got to withhold our funds in order for the revolution to move forward. I'm excited about it. We start tomorrow on Ash Wednesday, this thrust of this Target fast, because we wanted to interlope the spiritual property of what's necessary. While it is that we're strategizing, we have historically also been a spiritual and a praying people. And so over the next 40 days, I want to urge all of us to galvanize in prayer and not lose our spiritual focus and force. Every day, 381 days, Black people in Montgomery, after not getting on the bus, went back to the church to pray. And let's be very clear, we are now going up against a demonic, diabolical spirit in America. It is not just a person, it is a spirit that is afoot. On the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And so we've got to really go into prayer. But Frederick Douglass said it much better than me. He said, I got more prayers answered when I got off my knees. So we can't just pray. We've got to really go into fighting force. And so in the spirit of Hazel Dukes, let's fight even when it's uncalled for. So that's the necessary calling and the beating drum that we've got to answer to. I'm glad to be a part of it and excited about what we're going to do over the next 40 days.
Jamal, share the website one more time.
Yes, targetfast.org. And let me say to you that when it is that you register at Target Force, we have partnered with the Black Chamber of Commerce. We're going to send you out a digital directory of 300,000 Black businesses across the United States so you can redirect your dollars away from Target and Walmart. And we're going to send you a 40-day prayer journal so that we can pray our way through. A lot of our people, Angela, burn out. They tired, they weary, they worn, and they sad. But I think that we've got to find that synergy to find that second win and run to it.
Yes. Roy, I know you had something.
Well, no, let's let Tamika Mallory come in, and I'll let you all do. You see, I'm staying out the way. I'll let
No. We got to bring everybody in because we only got so much time. We under an hour left, y'all. We have.
Well, I got to be quiet. Black women, y'all got Black women, and then I have my question.
We have marathon through this thing, so we got a little less than an hour left. Tamika Mallory and Angelo Pinto on this same topic. You all have been actively engaged around the Target fast, and I would love to hear from you all your perspective. There's been a lot of folks saying, hey, why are we going to boycott something or fast from something when there are Black brands on the shelves? So about that, right? So I think that it's a good time to talk about tactics, how we stick together. I learned on my podcast recently, a Native Land Pod with Andrew Gillum, that only 10% of Black folks in Montgomery actually participated in boycotts. Never knew. And they want to burn the books. I'm still learning. They're trying to burn the books, Roy. So you guys tell us a little bit about why it's important for us to stay united in this fight with Reverend Jamal Bryant and Until Freedom.
Certainly. Thank you so much. And to everyone, I see family, new people, just so many different faces here. And it's been really inspirational and filling to be among this amazing group of individuals this evening. And I, just want to join Jamal, first of all, in saying, Jamal Bryant.
Everybody.
Can you hear me?
Well, Tamika, hold on, because I think
Hold on a
somebody
second.
came in
The
to
queen
reclaim
has
her time.
That's it.
That's
her.
what's going on. Congresswoman Waters.
Hello.
Hello. We heard you, so we thought that meant you were reclaiming your time. So you now have the floor. We want to know why you chose not to participate in the State of the Union tonight. Please tell us why.
Thank you so much, Angela. You know me very well. And you know that I was not about to put up with that bullshit that he was going to talk about tonight. You know that I think he is the most deplorable, dishonest, no good man that I've ever encountered in my life. He has insulted us, he's insulted the American people. He's a sexual predator. He's everything absolutely awful that you can describe in a human being. I've never met anything like him before. Angela, you know, you've been out there in Los Angeles. I've worked with gang members, the Crips, the Bloods, everybody. I've never encountered anybody like Trump. Trump is a person without a conscience. He will lie at the drop of a hat, and he knows that you know that he's lying, but he continues to lie. What he did tonight was, first of all, he continued the lies about all of the Mexicans, all of the people coming from, the countries of, Mexico and Guatemala and everybody. What he talked about was, had you believed that they're all rapists and they're all murderers and they're all this and they're all that, continuing to pump up the lie that he has used as his number one issue to divide and to create hate and to have something that he could point to keep the American people believing that he had to protect them from. So it was pretty awful. And I really did not like the way he used the tragic incidents and the families that were there, who of course appreciated, what they think is their president caring about what happened, to the 12-year-old and to others who were victims. And we all feel sad and bad for them, but he misused them. He misused them. And what he did was he focused on them instead of focusing on the real issues that we're dealing with now and the harm that he's creating for workers by telling them get out of their office by 3 o'clock, by 5 o'clock. You know what that reminds me of? The sundown towns who would tell Black people they had to be out of town by 5 o'clock, before dark. He's still the dishonorable human being that he's always been. It is so sad that we're going through this kind of change right before our very eyes as he and Elon Musk move into all of the agencies and departments of government, shutting them down, firing people, doing everything that they can to basically make sure that this country is ruled by the white billionaires that showed up with him at inauguration time. What he's saying to all of us, we're getting ready to run this country the way that we want to run it. We're getting rid of all these regulations that have protected people in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We're getting rid of HUD with all of the money that's going to housing and to the homeless and all of those people in urban areas that don't deserve it. All of those messages for me were continuing messages that he has put forth for a long time, long before this election. But it's not nice to say, but I told you so. When he first ran, I told everybody that he should have been impeached. When we got into it, we didn't do it right. We waited too long. We didn't use the right issues, etc. And unfortunately, we got him back. But let me hear from the other people that you have on the program tonight. Because I could talk about this thing all night.
We have one of your colleagues who has joined you. And she's someone who regularly says she stands on your soldiers. He says, whatever Max says we're doing, we're doing. That is Jasmine Crockett, who chose to go to the State of the Union tonight, but she also chose to walk out. So she's right here. Jasmine.
Okay.
Hey,
All
yes.
right.
Listen, for sure. Max is an OG, just like Al Green. I follow their lead. I thank God for them. I really do, especially in this time. You know, as one of the younger members in the Congress, it is so important to have people that are always going to give us a sobering message about the moment that we're in. And as y'all just heard, she did not hold back. She gonna call that motherfucker what he is at all times. And so, and I'm here for it. And what y'all don't know is we both from St. Louis. Listen, we from the show me state, okay? This is what you get out of St. Louis. But I am so eternally grateful.
Where's
because
Britt?
as I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do, I was on the phone calling Max and trying to figure it out. And one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that there was space that was held for us. And if we did not show up, then what they were going to do is just put seat fillers in. And I wanted to make sure that the space that, you know, my ancestors bled and died for, that I occupied that space. But I also got the privilege to walk the hell out of it. And so that's exactly what we did, so that he could have those empty seats sitting there, and that our messages would be seen. Even if he decided he didn't want to hear us, he was going to fill us in our actions. And so I didn't just want to sit there and not clap, but instead I wanted to make sure that I stood up in defiance and I turned my back on him, like he has turned his back on the American people, like he has turned his back on the Constitution, like he has turned his back on laws in this country. That is what I wanted to do. And I wanted the American people to know that while we may not have the numbers just yet, that doesn't mean that we don't have fight left in our bodies. And so I am going to fight him every step of the way until we get what we deserve, because it was my ancestors that built this motherfucker. Okay, I'm done now. I'm done, because I didn't say all
Let's thank
the words.
Jasmine not only for what she just said, but she has been carrying the fight. She has been every day, every week, whether she's in committee, whether she's on the floor, whether she's in the streets, she has been telling what she has learned about him, his leadership. She's called him out. She's called out every dumbass that he's appointed to office, while he's talking about getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and hiring some of the dumbest people, some of the most incompetent people in all of the agencies of government that he can get. And then, yes, Elon Musk, because Elon Musk had the money to buy him. This was transactional. He put the money into his campaign, and Trump turned it over to him. And we don't know everything that Elon Musk has done with his high technology ass. We don't know what he's being accused of by some, as it may relate to the election. But we're not going to give up in investigating and finding out whether or not Elon Musk and all the people that he's got hired in his business who are now working for him, we may be paying them through these dumb ass false contracts that he's gotten so much money from. This billionaire is a billionaire because he's exploited the United States of America, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, Jasmine. You continue to be whom you are. You walk as you tried to get everybody else to do. Thank you.
And you did, then you tried to mobilize.
I tried, y'all. I tried, but I'm so proud of the members that were not afraid and decided that they would walk. Because if I didn't have at least a group, then I just wasn't going to attend. So I am so thankful. I know y'all had a chance to hear from Melanie Stansberry, who is my rider out of New Mexico. We had to make sure we at least could do something as a unified group, because saying, oh, there's only one person or there's only two people. And I really wanted to show that there are more than just one person that is willing to engage in this fight. And if I could not get a group, then I just didn't want to do it. So I'm thankful for every soldier that decided to stand up and walk out.
Congresswoman Crockett and Waters, real quick, is the relationship between Democrats and Republicans between now and midterms, is it completely irreparable if we go on to war and just voting them out in 2026? Or is there any modicum of hope that we can come back from this between now and midterms? The energy that was in the room tonight, I mean.
Well, let me just say that we have a good caucus, a good Democratic caucus. And what we understand and appreciate is that people show their objections and their disagreements in different ways. And what we see building in this Democratic caucus is ways by which we're going to win this fight. We're going to win this fight. We're going to win this fight because I think what we're all understanding is this. We got to be in the streets. You know, it's not enough to be at home, you know, on the internet, you know, trying to convince people. They want us out there. They want to see us fighting. We are going to inspire people and help people to understand that the power lies when we all are sticking together, when we're working. I believe that if we keep going to the streets and we grow and grow and grow our protests, we're going to have a lot of influence on the courts, who still have a lot of decisions to make. These decisions now are temporary, but we got to get down to the decisions about whether or not what they're doing is in defiance of the Constitution, in defiance of the laws that have been signed by presidents, and what is the difference between an executive order and a law, and what is the difference between an executive order and what's in the Constitution of America. And I think we can help the courts move even stronger, but they got to see us. They got to understand that we're willing to fight for what we believe in. And you know what? Hell, I'm in this fight. I'm in this fight, and I do believe that there are a lot of other people in this fight. And when they see an 86-year-old woman on the street fighting in the way that I certainly know how, I hope it's going to inspire a lot of people to come on out and join us. Is that right, Angela?
That is absolutely right. And I'm gonna tell you what, 86 where? 86 where?
I know, right? No, I was just gonna say that listen, this is business. I am going into their backyards, and anybody that I can take out, I'm gonna take them out. So I am gonna go, I'm gonna work
figuratively
while they
for the fans watching.
Yeah, I was about to explain it.
Okay.
So because right now they have decided that they don't want to show up and be held accountable to the people that put them into power. They have made a decision, the NRCC, that they're not going to do any more town halls in their districts. So if they're not going to show up and serve their people, then I'm going to show up and I'm going to make sure that they know the truth about why they are cowering and why they are going and bending the knee to the orange one instead of serving the people that made it possible for them to serve in this body. So no, it wasn't even a matter of tonight being the trigger. It was the fact that they decided that they were going to go out. And while this man has allowed Elon Musk to turn off the money for bills that were signed into law by Joe Biden or any other president and decide that they're going to abdicate their duties, that was when I decided that I was going to be coming for all their seats. Any seat that we can get, just know I'm coming for it. And when I say I'm coming for it, I'm not only showing up at their back door, but I'm also raising money. When I raise money, I give money. I spend money. I am in this to win this. Just like Max said, we gonna get this thing done by any means necessary. I'm gonna make sure money, organizing, showing up and doing the work that they don't want to do, we are absolutely going to do it. And yes, I'm going to do the stuff on social media too. I know Max said, you know, we got to get off the computers, but I'm going to do the computer stuff too.
Wow, 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 wow.
Well, this is amazing, ladies. We so appreciate you coming on.
Y'all.
We love you, Jasmine. We love you, Congresswoman. Queen Maxine.
Thank you.
We love you. So I want to just quickly, we were talking to some fighters. We were starting with Tamika and Angelo, and this is how you know MW's a gangster. Congresswoman Waters came on. She didn't even have to say reclaiming my time. She just started talking, and Tamika was like,
introducing that, just walked on.
Tamika was just like, hey. I was like,
nothing else to say. And I'm glad that they did that, because I was getting ready to try to come with my hoop, and I don't even have to do it tonight. They already handled it for me. So I'll just go back to some technical points on this issue around boycotts. Angela, you asked a very important question about what do we do with Black vendors that are on the stores in places like Target. And we talked about how, Pastor Bryant talked about the list that the Black Chamber of Commerce has with Black businesses that you can get your products from directly, as well as ensuring that the businesses in Target specifically, that we continue to support them. I want to bring into this conversation our sister Nina Turner, who was one of the first people to say that we needed to boycott Target for an extended period of time. Also, our sister Nakima Armstrong, who is there in Minneapolis, where the Target headquarters is located, holding local protests and meetings and organizing there on the ground. I just want to make sure that they are not missing in the context for how this boycott has come together. All I will say is that there's been a theme throughout this entire very powerful night, and it's been about us engaging in the streets and getting with our people. And I want folks to know that I didn't wake up to a call about a boycott from a group of leaders. It came from the ground. It came into the comment section on almost every post that I could find where Target said that they were rolling back their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. People started saying, I will never go there again. I'm not shopping at Target. They said their feelings were hurt because Target to them was a place that they went, especially as Black women, as a safe space, and to see that they would cower to white supremacy and to this effort to take away what we believe is the gains of many of us, and of course people who came before us that fought so hard for us to have diversity, equity, and inclusion in these spaces. They felt connected to this, and we responded as organizers to help put some structure around it. Jamal came forward with the list that he's created with over 100,000 names. So this is a ground up effort. And the reason why I bring that up is because as we talk about all of what has been discussed tonight, important things, I want us to remember the grassroots, the people who are out there who are still fighting to keep gun violence tamed in their community, to deal with the issues of food deserts and poverty and injustice that is happening to them locally, police violence, people calling us from inside of prisons who are dealing with the backlash of what they are seeing happening across the country, where white supremacy is even sparking in those spaces behind the walls. Our people need us on so many different levels. And as Latasha said, let us remember to continue to give money and resources, whatever little bit we have. If we holding it from Target, take it, take half of it, put it under your mattress or wherever you want to save it, and take the other half and send it to a grassroots organizer or organization that is out there doing the consistent work, that while we plan on a mass scale, it is important that we deal with every single issue we talked about here this evening. But we must not forget that there are people who are literally the thing between the trigger and the finger of a 13 or 14-year-old child who might kill somebody tomorrow because their grandmother lost their job. And when we talk about federal workers. So it's really, really serious and important to us that we continue to focus on those folks, that we listen to the voices of the people, and that the grassroots, that the people on the ground be really at the center of all of our organizing. We say it Until Freedom, that the people who are closest to the problem must be at the center of the solutions that we put forth in our society. And we want to make sure that everybody here, whoever you are, wherever you're organizing, let's ensure that we diversify. We want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion outside in the world. Let us diversify every single space that we are working in to ensure that our people, all of our people, are there to inform us as we go forward and do our work. God bless y'all, and I love y'all.
And I'll just say, I think that we're boycotting because we know we have to make America think again, right? We need to make America think again. And the only way you make folks think is when you speak their language. So if their language is money, you got to speak money or act money. If the language is votes, you got to act votes. If the language is viewership, you have to act viewership. And those of us who fight, we know that you have to fight on every front. And as Pastor Bryant said, boycotts are really redirecting our spending. And the reason we redirect our spending is because we know we must redistribute the pain. Black folks can't be the only folks in this moment who are feeling pain. And when we begin to redistribute how we spend, we can redistribute some of that pain. And a big piece of that is really showing our outrage. We often say we're not outraged enough. But when we begin to change our actions, we show our outrage, and the outrage must be paired with action. It must be paired with consistent action. And for us, the message that we're really trying to send to folks is you can vote with your pocketbook. You can vote with your bank account. You could vote with your viewership. You can vote with every vehicle. We have power, and Black folks have a lot of power. Don't listen to anyone who says you don't have power. But every place you have it, you must send a message to the gatekeepers that we're going to use the power so that Black folks can get the things we need and not be oppressed any longer. We also always say we need to build something different. I think this moment has showed us that we need something different more than ever. But not only do we need something different, Black folks got to be the ones that build the something different. And in this moment, I think the biggest lesson of all is we have to begin to build things that can't be rolled back. We cannot build more things that a new administration, a new whoever can come into position and roll it back. And I believe the only things they can't roll back is when we spend with ourselves. The only thing they can't roll back is when we vote for Black folks who carry our agenda. The only thing they can't roll back is when we organize like this to deliver messages we know our people need. So for me, the more we organize, the more we move together, the more we can build institutions, plans that they can't roll back. So that's what we do.
What have you all found, Angelo and Tamika? First off, thank you all for what you all have been putting together with regards to this. What have you all found over the years and years of activism that you've done is the most effective way of getting other Black folks on board? Like my mama whole side is from Clarksdale, Mississippi. Pretty much every store there is a store connected to a bigger conglomerate that rolled back DE&I. So when you're trying to get them to understand, hey, here's something you can order from an independent vendor. There's TikToks now of people going in Target and basically putting the camera in front of Black and brown folks and like essentially using shame as a tactic. There's education as a tactic. What have you all found has been the best way to get more people to understand the value and everything that you all are trying to get done?
So I would say that we only go at it a few times and then we keep it moving and roll with the ones who want to get with it. And usually more people come along as time goes on. As long as we're disciplined, you begin to see other people saying, let me peek my head outside the door and see what's going on, and maybe I'll join that fight. And so I think that's, obviously very important that we stay consistent, which is not always easy, but it also helps when we are working with like-minded individuals and when we empower local voices to help lead those movements, and that they don't feel we're telling them what to do, but instead that they're a part of the process for how things come together. And so I think that a lot of people are feeling like they are a part of this movement because largely Black women who are everyday moms, everyday sisters living in their communities are the ones whose voices were first in this, in this fight. And so I think empowering them is so important, and I totally understand what you mean, because we do have the challenge of trying to get everybody, but that has never been the case. Angela, you talked about the percentage of people who actually participated in the bus boycott, and even all of those people didn't start at the beginning. It took time for them to see a couple of things. One, to be ashamed to keep trying to get on the bus when everybody else was making sure that they walked right on past it. And I think that's one of the tactics that we also use, is to let our folks know you look kind of crazy going in Target while the rest of us are standing outside.
And I would say Black people are really a people of rhythm, right? I think Angela trying to.
Yeah, she tried to.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute.
12 o'clock.
I love y'all. Let me tell you something. We have 26 minutes. I got some leaders in here. We got some of the most brilliant Black minds in the world on here. I got to do a rapid round because Holly told me one thing that we gonna do is be 24 hours. So we're not going over time. We got so much more we need to say and do. That means we got to have a part 2, 3, 4, 19. But I got to get these brilliant voices in. So I love y'all. We're going to keep talking about this on social. We're going to keep going. I'm going to go first to Bernice King, because you just brought up Montgomery bus boycotts. Tamika, I want to go to you, Dr. King, and then I want to make sure we get to your colleagues. If we can all try to keep our remarks to 1.5 minutes or less, we got to get everybody in. There's so many great voices. Kimberly Crenshaw joined us, Dr. Dyson, Maya, everybody wants you to run for mayor, Maya. I mean, come on, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go. Dr. Bernice King has joined us.
Yeah, thank you and good evening, everybody. I just wanted to say this. This is one of those Nehemiah moments. Nehemiah 4:19 says, the work is great and extensive, and we are widely separated on the wall. But when we hear the sound of the trumpet, we must rally together and our God will fight for us. So I want to thank you, Angela, you, Joy, and others for pulling this moment together in response to the in this hour. What does that mean? My father said, and I'm gonna do it real quick, in his book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos and Community. It's a part we overlook so often. He said, our nettlesome task is to discover how to organize our strength into compelling power so that the government cannot elude our demands, or I would say so that the power structures cannot elude our demands. I want to applaud everybody on here for everything you're doing to keep my father's legacy moving forward. And I just want to challenge us just real quick, because this is a key point here. Oftentimes we organize around passion, we organize around frustration, we organize around, yes, need. But how often do we organize around strength? How do we pull our strengths together, look at what is needed to deal with what we're trying to do and organize those strengths? And so I want to, maybe it exists, I don't know, but we need a war room. That's the first thing. The second thing is I want to thank you for what you're doing and say, please, Angela, I texted you today. I said, continue this platform, because Trump has 2 platforms, True Social and X, that he's communicating consistently, rapid fire. We need something on a daily basis, because that misinformation has to be challenged consistently. Many people are misinformed and they are impressionable. And so we need this information. So much truth was shared today that people don't know. So thank you and kudos for bringing all of those different elements together. And then finally, which is a hard one, I'm Dr. King's daughter. I embrace fully nonviolence. I'm not perfect at it, but it is the best way to move forward. It is strategic. It gives us the spiritual discipline that we need and the soul force we need. In the I Have a Dream speech, and I close with this, he reminded everybody who was on the threshold of freedom and justice. And this is another part we missed in I Have a Dream in his words. He said, we must forever, and that's an underline and a bold and an italicized, we must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. And so every day we got to prepare our minds, we got to prepare our spirits, because this is a marathon. And then finally, as we're doing what we're doing now in this season, in this moment, we have to figure out the strategies to change the numbers in Congress. There's a strategy to do that. Not just registering to vote, but I love what Bernie did to go to the Trump voters. We got to think outside of the box to get those 3 numbers that are needed in the midterm. There's some elections coming up in April. It may be too late for that. But anyway, I just want to leave you with that. Thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bernice King. I'm going to go next to Maya Wiley from the Lawyers Committee, and I'm sorry, not the Lawyers Committee, Leadership Conference on Civil Rights, and then Mark Morial, President of National Urban League, Kimberly Crenshaw, African American Policy Forum. Please, folks, let's get it in, but we want to make sure we're brief and we get everybody else in. Maya, I'm going to start with you.
Well, first of all, let me just say, I'm going to be very brief, just how grateful I am for all the wisdom, all of the action, all of the activism that we've already heard. I am just going to say one thing that we have not talked about. We are talking about a madman who has promised to weaponize the military against our communities. And one of the ways he's going to do it is, in addition to protests, because that was one, and we heard that from Congressman Frost, But the other is by vilifying immigrants and trying to come for our constitutional rights on birthright citizenship, which we as Black people in the civil rights movement won, because the beginning of the first civil rights movement was the abolition of slavery. But the reason I'm raising this is because we've already had a man, Peter Sean Brown, the Black man in Florida, who was he was only 3 days away from being deported, and he was born in Philadelphia. You know, and in our history, we have a lot of Black people who were put into detention because they were believed not to be citizens, even though they were. So the only reason I'm saying this is that weaponizing, just like they're doing with diversity, equity, inclusion, and say all the 3 words, because they don't say it because people actually like diversity. People actually think it's a good thing. They like inclusion, but they're also using it to come for immigrants. We have African immigrants, we have immigrants, we have Afro-Latino immigrants, but what the Lake and Riley law did, which is what they were celebrating, what Democrats also clapped for and voted for, is they are given permission to racial profiling. And that means us, whether or not we are citizens, whether or not we were born here. So I just want to remind us of that, as well as everything everyone else has said, because we won these rights. These are civil rights. These are about Black people in our communities, both Black people who are immigrants, but also the way they catch us up in their system. And by the way, they will use the military in our communities to look for us. So I only say that, not to say we don't have anything we can do about it, but that we can't stay silent on that one either, because it is the silence that they're relying on and telling us that we shouldn't trust our own. Thank you.
And then intimidate and dare the media to report it as fact, and then call the facts lies. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to add more sadness on top of your sadness, but yes.
Thank you.
Mark and Kimberly.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Angela. First of all, I want to thank you, Angela, and the entire team for hosting this tonight. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to participate. To just add this, what we are facing is an attack and a war on civil rights, a war on the last 70 years since the Brown decision. Every single action being undertaken seeks to repeal the progress we've made and to erase our contributions to this nation. If this is not a wake-up call for this generation that had the opportunity to walk through doors, stand on shoulders, avail themselves of opportunities because of the hard sweat and struggles of others, our parents and grandparents and ancestors, then I don't know what will wake us up. So I'm grateful and excited to see the activism, selective purchasing. We're bringing litigation. We brought litigation with the help of the Legal Defense Fund against 3 Trump executive orders. There's been litigation brought against the freeze and on behalf of the employees, the federal employees. We have to stand together. And the most important thing is for everybody to do something. Get off the couch, get out of your comfort zone, and recognize that this is a threat to the last 70 years, and we're defining the future for our children and our children's children. Project 2025 is real. We are seeing it being executed. We're seeing it being implemented, and they want to bend this country to an autocracy and reinstate white supremacy as the operating and governing principle. So I just think that tonight is just another step. Angela, we got to continue these conversations. We got to continue to energize and excite people. So I'm grateful to be a part, and we will continue to play our role to the best of our abilities. I'll see everyone who'll be in Selma on Saturday and Sunday as we celebrate and note and mark the milestone of Bloody Sunday 60 years ago.
Kimberly, you're up.
Yes.
Angela, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that this is happening. And also how impressed I am. I was watching you last night around this time and you are still looking good. So thank you. And Many, many props to you. Listen, here's the main thing I want to remind us of. We have been here before. We know that this is the same thing that happened to us after Reconstruction. We know what violence did to our aspirations. We know what happened when individuals and organizations, not just those who were coming after us, but the party of Lincoln finally decided that they didn't want to have the burden of us on their chart anymore. And so what really worries me about this moment is the thing that we're not saying as much as we should, which is in this terror moment, in this moment when they're removing us from everywhere, it's not just MAGA that we have to struggle with. The call is coming from in the house. When we can see people being removed, Black people who are accomplished, who are at the top of their field, from Joy to 4-star general, they are coming after us as the vehicle for this agenda. We've got to be able to call it out. When we know that our fellow Democrats, our fellow progressives, our fellow leftists, our fellow liberals are more afraid of being called woke than being on the wrong side of history, the fight is here. So this has been a fight that's been going on for several years. Many of us have been saying, Mark Morial, one of them, Siobhan, Arline, another one, that this attack on our freedom, this attack on our civil rights history, this attack on our ability to know and understand what our history is telling us is an attack on the entire infrastructure of the last 60 years. They've told us from the beginning, they're coming after public education, they're coming after public values, and they're coming after the government. And that's exactly what they've done. So if there's any moment of doubt, if there is any question about why we have to fight now, just remember, Woodrow Wilson did exactly what Trump is doing right now. He cleared us out from the government. He eliminated the protections that we had. He was backed up with the Supreme Court, who was willing to sign on to it. And lastly, but not least, our friends allowed them to do it. So our fight has to be multi-level. We have to fight MAGA, yeah, but we got to fight those who are willing to say, maybe we're going to compromise on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Maybe we're going to compromise on Black history. Maybe we don't need to be worried about all of these ideas and these frameworks. Maybe we can negotiate a settlement. Whenever a settlement is negotiated, trust, we're the ones that are going to be thrown under the bus. So I couldn't be happier to be part of this. I couldn't be more enthusiastic and excited about the fact that we are on the march. The Saints are marching in, and I'm glad to be in that number. And let's remember, I'm going to end by quoting Sherilyn Ifill, who said, "Leave no power on the table." What did she mean by that? She meant to say, yeah, we're fighting at the federal level, but the real power is at the local level. It's at those school boards. It's at the city council. It's at all the places where these decisions about what actually shapes our lives are made. So we need to step up, step in, be there, recognize that this fight is not the fight for the next 4 years. It's a fight for a century, and we need to be part of it. Thank you
so much. You guys, we have 12 people and 11 minutes left. Stephanie Young, I'm coming to you. We're going to be quick. Let's be mindful. Otherwise, we can't thank all the team that pulled this off. So please be mindful. Stephanie Young, you have the floor. Talk to us about voting. We're going to go to these PACs and get it done.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for all the work that you're doing continuously to make today, tonight, and even tomorrow, and all the things that we'll do together happen. I think it's really important to remember because I think a lot of folks have been discouraged and depressed, obviously, with what's happened, but we had 89 million people in this country actually not vote. 244 million people vote in this election. This is not the highest turnout. I think Maxwell Frost said it. 2020 actually had the highest voter turnout. And when you think about the multi-level fight that Ms. Crenshaw just laid out, it's incredibly important that we're attacking it from all facets. So from civic engagement to civil disobedience, obedience to clear, concise, authentic, and real consistent messaging. And we know, wearing my old hat working in the voting rights space, that peer-to-peer organizing is really the #1 converter to get as many people registered and ready to vote. And voter education doesn't stop there. That also goes to ensuring that people understand not only, what does my vote get me, but also all the different levers that voting actually pulls, from the school boards all the way up into, obviously, the president of the United States. So I think that when we're having these conversations, we can't leave out the deep organizing that actually has to happen, because our people aren't fully out on the field when it comes to making their voices heard. And then also fighting the disinformation that comes from, all different sides. But from the peer-to-peer organizing, the voter education registration, that can't just happen 12 months or 6 months before the election, but actually needs to start right now. It takes 7 touches to get someone actually registered to vote and engaged. And we're not talking about, 7 pings just on the internet. We're talking about phone calls. We're talking about peer-to-peer. We're talking about a multi-lever and layered process. So as we continue these conversations in community on how we all can play our part, I want to make sure, and I know that from Derek and NAACP and Collective PAC, and obviously Latasha and all the work they're doing with Black Voters Matter, we have a lot of work to do in the voting space. And I know that voting hasn't always been sexy, but it's incredibly and very critical to ensuring that in the midterms that we make our voices heard, but also obviously 4 years from now. So I'm looking forward to doing the work with each and every one.
Thank you, Steph. You guys, we have a very important guest who's just joined us, and I think that Quentin and Mike McBride might be okay with me yielding their time to her. Their work helped to solidify this history-making Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester out of the great state of Delaware, and our good friend. And I'm just so happy you're here. So I want to yield a couple minutes to you. We're trying to meet our deadline, Holly. We might be over, but it's a good reason why.
I'm gonna be very, very brief. I just left the floor from a very bizarre thing to witness and behold. And I will just tell you that, Angela, to you and everyone on here, Miss Reed, and I'm calling you Miss Reed, because just thank you for the service that you have done for this country. To all of you on this line, I want to say I needed to get on here to be refueled. And I think in this moment, it is going to require each of us to recognize, what can I do in this moment? The fact that Angela also Brooks and I were sitting in the same row as Jim Clyburn, and in front of us, Cory Booker and all of us, we said, no, this is our house. We're not leaving. You're going to look me right in the eye and say these things. And we are going to then take our power and act. And so I just want to thank to the collective, to everybody who helped us get to this place. Now the real work begins. And as was said, they're using words like scrub, to scrub our history, to scrub us out of jobs. Even veterans who are 1/3 of the workforce, they don't care. And so I'm on fire in this moment. I appreciate the help and support and the wisdom. Like Sherlyn Eiffel is going to be meeting with me and talking to me and talking about some of the levers. I'm once an urban leaguer, always an urban leaguer. Kimberly Crenshaw, Jamie, I could literally go through all of you here on this call and say thank you, thank you, thank you. But remember, in this moment, I said on the Senate floor, for us, we know that trouble don't last always. For us, we know that it doesn't last always when we walk together, children, and not get weary. And that ultimately joy will come in the morning, but we got to do the work right now while it is night. And so I am just grateful for your presence. I'm grateful for your work. I'm looking forward. Look, I'm starting to see other people that I've needed to call out, but I'm so grateful. And on behalf of those of us who are in, Leah Daltrey, I don't want to get started, but I just want to say thank you for your work, and we are ready to get to work together. Thank you, Angela, so much for this lifts my spirit as we go into tomorrow. That's all I
Well,
want.
stick around till midnight because that's
will.
when the hour is darkest, but we know morning is coming. Quentin and Mike real fast, and then I'm gonna get to these ladies that we did get to.
Everybody be encouraged. While this is, is the worst of times, it's also the best of times. We've never had as many Black leaders in public office as we do right now. And that's because of the work of everybody on this line, everyone watching. We've put the work in. We came up short last November, but we're going to put the work in this year and next year. We have a Black candidate running for governor of New Jersey right now, in Ras Baraka. Tonight was election night in St. Louis. Mayor Tashara Jones running for re-election. And so while we are thinking about what's happening in DC, a lot of power is being built on the ground. And so thank you all for what you have done. We're going to continue doing it throughout this next year.
Thank you, Quinn from Collective PAC. Pastor Mike McBride from Black Church PAC.
Yes, Black Church PAC and Live Free. Let me just say, this whole day, these last 24 hours, has been a demonstration of what happens when we organize together. A disorganized truth will find it difficult to defeat organized lies, what I was taught. And so my hope is that we organize ourselves on the ground. Brother Quinn just said it powerfully, all politics is local. As we've manifested and flexed online, may we do that on the ground. May we attend to the differences among us on the ground by class, gender, sexuality, all things that try to divide us. Organize ourselves into the power we need to keep this demonstration of our unity together. I think Elijah Muhammad said, our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. May we use our unity to defeat this wickedness around us. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Pastor Mike. Since we're in the Bible, I'm going to go to red lip theology. I missed my red lip today, but Candace Marie Benbow is here. We need to hear from you. I personally reached out to you, sis. My best friend was like, you know who you need to have. So you're here. Please, we want to hear from you.
I just want to say that the one thing I want to challenge us all to do, creators create, writers write. If this is a moment of disinformation, of misinformation, they are burning our books. What will the record bear 50 years from now? So not only do we need to document this time and tell the story, we also need to do the work that our souls need to have and our souls must have. And as we're talking about self-care, as we're talking about lifting each other up, that's going to come from the art that we create. That's going to come from the love that we emit and give each other. And I am heartened by tonight, sis. I'm so proud of you. I was up last night when you started, and I'm with you here at the end, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so very much. I'm going to go to Hope Giselle and then to Dr. Raquel Martin. Did I lose Hope Giselle? I might have lost her. Okay, Dr. Raquel Martin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So I just wanted to state that although we acknowledge the fact that activism is inspired and sustained by love and community, when it is constantly being challenged by injustice, the emotional toll is going to lead to burnout and numbness and detachment. So I am working with clients. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I really just want y'all to be mindful of signs of resistance fatigue. That's the exhaustion that comes from sustained activism, advocacy, fighting for justice. If you're feeling numb or detached or indifferent to issues that you used to deeply care about, you're having low frustration tolerance, you're feeling guilty about resting. Some things that I've been talking to my clients that are activists about are just sharing the load. Activism was never meant to be solo. So creating a care rotation with fellow activists where you're alternating who's organizing the meetings, who's managing social media, who is driving the people to the everywhere, hosting the meetings. You're building restorative community, creating consistent structured check-ins. I told one of my clients to make a buddy system with someone where activists are responsible for checking in with each other, directing small acts of solidarity. They make a big impact. Mutual aid isn't just about organizing huge efforts. It's about every single day support, checking in, rides, childcare. When it comes down to it, as a medical professional, I'm also a liberation psychologist, and healing isn't just about the individual. It's about dismantling the systems that make us sick in the first place. And all this extra stress leads to increased susceptibility to illness and autoimmune disorders. So to all the individuals watching this, the medical and health professionals, our job isn't just to help people survive oppression, it's to challenge it. So if we're not working towards justice, we're also maintaining the harm. So doctors can contribute to this by providing equitable care, anti-racist care, addressing social determinants of health, because therapy does not have a monopoly on healing. I am a psychologist, but it doesn't have a monopoly on healing. So whether it's your path to healing is therapy or creating or activism, it's going to be paved with community, and we're going to need that more than ever. So also check in with yourselves, everyone on this call. If you notice the same people are organizing every single one of these talks, that's a problem, because the whole aspect of longevity isn't just about skill or outworking everyone. It's about taking care of yourself. So many times people talk about pouring from an empty cup. Most of y'all don't even have cups. Y'all have like spaghetti strainers. Y'all got colanders because everything's poking holes in it. So I would encourage you to think about what's also poking holes in your cup and make sure the same people are not organizing this entire thing, because it's going to take a while. But when you're running on fumes, you can't sustain anything. And this is going to take a lot of sustainability.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to Dr. Dyson because he was not on a panel today, and we're going to get to some of the other folks for brief thank yous or something before we drop off. But Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, mentor, you have the floor.
Love you. Love what you do. Love what you stand for. So proud of you. Very briefly, let's make sure diversity is diverse, right? Don't be suckered by these people trying to make you hate trans people or gay people or lesbian people or poor people or and the like. Let's understand that they are all, those of us who are Black, understand the liberation movement for what it does. Number two, the truth is, be deadly serious about what you are committed to, but don't take yourself too seriously at all. And in that way, like Elijah in the Bible, I only am left. No, you ain't the 7,000 others. So stop and focus on the job at hand. Thirdly, my pastor used to say, we've already come through what we've come to, which means we've been through this stuff before. Let's remember those lessons. And finally, Howard Thurman said, you don't reduce your dreams to the event you confront now. You have a choice. You can be a prisoner of hope, or you can be a prisoner of the event. We choose to be a prisoner of the event. And I'll end by saying, I know Bishop Daughtry said that the cavalry ain't coming. That's true, but Calvary is here. And on that old rugged cross, there's a lot that's been penned there, and that has sustained us as a people. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Dyson. We are going to go to Dr. David Johns, the journalist extraordinaire, Ed Gordon, Monique, and Alfonso, and we are wrapping, y'all. Quickly.
I love y'all. There's something special about being in the care of Black women who love Black people. So thank you to you, Lolo, Jill, the whole team. I think my only contribution is to remind us of what Fannie Lou Hamer said, which is that none of us are free unless and until all of us are free. So this is the moment where I'm gonna step on some of y'all's toes and say gay, trans, and gender expansive. If we don't lock arms and aims and hearts with every member of our beautifully diverse community, we will never get free. So let's do the work of getting liberated together. Let's do the work of supporting each other and centering joy, and let's continue to resist. Let's not capitulate. Let's not give them anything. Let's live in the spirit of Nipsey Hussle, who reminds us that it's all a marathon. All we got to do is keep going. I love y'all sincerely.
Thanks, David. And on that note, Hope Giselle dropped. I'm sure she was just tired, but please look up the work of Hope Giselle. David, can you share her Instagram handle?
Yep, at Hope Giselle. She also is a leader with NBJC, so you can check us out at www.nbjc. Download our Black Facts data. It aligns with the Black Census Project, and you can also find us at NBJC on the move. But shout out to Hope Giselle, who is doing tremendous work. Find her, support her, find ways to love on members of our community, again, who are trans and gender expansive. They are at the tip of the spear of these neo-fascists who are legislating genocide.
Thank you so much, DJ. Okay, Monique and Alfonso, come on. And Ed Gordon.
You want Monique to go first?
She on mute, so go ahead. You go ahead.
Angela, thank you. Thank you to Joy. Thank you to Rev Mark, Lolo, Holly, all of our partners who helped work on this. What I want to leave us with is make sure we remember is that there's a direct connection between our wallets, our pocketbooks, and our dignity. All too often, we treat economic justice and social justice like they're separate conversations. And the truth is they're completely connected. Firing people from their jobs is directly connected to whether they can put food on the table and whether they can be treated with dignity at work. And then striking down diversity, equity, and inclusion affects whether public and private sectors will be held accountable for addressing the disparities that show that Black businesses are being denied opportunities. Just so we're clear, 20% of new businesses go out of business within the first 12 to 18 months. But when you're talking about Black businesses, that's 80%. 80% of Black businesses go out of business during that same time period. And this is due to systemic barriers that exist in the marketplace. So remember, as we go through this fight and this struggle, that when you hear about the actions being taken by the new administration, understand that they have an impact on your dignity and they have an impact on your wallet. That is the goal. They are connected. And at the Global Black Economic Forum, we're going to continue doing this work, fighting for economic justice and fighting for economic freedom, and working with all of you in doing so. Angela, thank you again.
Thank you, Alfonso. Monique, my sister.
I love you, girl. Real, true, indeed. In the bunker, anytime. Thank you for this. Thank you for everybody who worked. One scripture, faith without works is dead. And that means it's like having none at all. It's like non-existent faith. What we've done for the past 24 hours is a demonstration of the height of our faith through our work. And I am so thankful for that, because my faith is real high, my faith in God and my faith in our people, my belief that we can take this and go someplace with it. We ain't got to agree on everything. Let's do one thing and take some steps with the one thing. And I'm just here to say, the 100 of y'all, 200 of y'all, whoever did this for the past 24 hours, I'll take at least 10 steps with y'all any day, anytime. Blessings.
Thanks, Mo. The legendary Ed Gordon is still with us. And Ed, I just want to hear from you. That's all. I just want to hear from you before we
I just want to say this very quickly. And Joy started us off with Dr. King's words. And I had the honor of interviewing Nelson Mandela on 3 occasions and spent some time with him. And he suggested that in times like this, we have to find truth, and that's truth within ourselves and with those who surround us. And so I'd like to encourage all of us to respectfully hold ourselves accountable, our leadership accountable, our elected officials accountable, and the people in the streets accountable. This is a historic moment for us. I don't know that we have the gravity of it yet, but we owe ourselves and our ancestors that accountability.
Yes, that is indeed the truth. Well, Joy was the host that brought us in yesterday. So Joy, I want to come to you. Roy, I want to come to you. And then I just want to offer some thank yous.
I just want to say that very briefly, because I know we're trying to get out of here. Y'all, I'm telling you, the contrast in my text messages between the people who watched the joint address and the people who stuck with us, the people who did the 24 hours, however long they spent with it, it could not be sharper. I think what we have learned tonight is that our people don't need to be directed to consume what the mainstream tells them to, or to know what the mainstream tells them to know. They just need us. All we need is each other. Y'all, this is enough. All we need is each other. The feeling of empowerment, joy, freedom that we felt in these last 24 hours and in this town hall, that's it. We got the answer. That's where we go from here, right here.
Thank
To
you
my
to
illustrious co-host that said yes at 1 a.m, Roy Wood Jr. He did.
Don't even, she texted me at 1 a.m. Are you doing the thing? And the way that you all organized this, I have to praise you all and tell you all thank you. I mean, Angela knows it's 40 pots on the stove. Joy, you know it's 40 pots on the stove. So I'm not always able to be part of the construction of any of this, but if you tell me where to be, I'll be there.
By the way, I stirred no pots. I showed up with everyone else. I have to say that the people who organized this, I literally am so in awe of everyone who participated in making this happen. Ashley, Holly, Angie, all of y'all. I rode. I told y'all I was in that little car next to the bike. I was in that little, the little buggy next to the big bike.
Sidecar.
I was in the sidecar, and I was just proud to be there. I am in absolute awe. This was amazing.
Here's what threw me off, Joy. Angela said, I saw the flyer. I was like, that'd be good.
The flyer was so fly.
But I just never looked at the date. And then Angela's like, well, you want to do the thing that's on the flyer? I'm like, yeah, I'll do the thing that's on the flyer. I thought it was next week. She go, hey, tomorrow, here's the window, 9 p.m. All right, I'll be there.
You did.
I'll be there. So to be able to turn this around and to be able to, just a quick shout out to Mark Thompson as well on the ground.
Yes, Mark Thompson. Can I just tell y'all, as a
picking them
cable
off
person,
as they walked out the room.
look,
Literally.
the cable correspondent moment. This
There
is the
he
thing.
is.
Mark Thompson,
Thompson.
correspondent in the field, doing the thing. And we've seen him do it before. He used to do it sometimes for me on my cable show. When I tell you that brother made this thing one of the most entertaining, informative, live. It was in the moment. This was some of the best non-television television that I'm a vet. I've been at this a long time. Y'all, I'm an oldie goldie. Baby, this was some of the best non-television television I've ever seen. I was inspired, but I was also quite entertained.
I gotta
Excellent.
tell you,
Yes,
I gotta
thanks.
tell
Yes, thanks.
Oh, there he is. Mark,
There
what
he
you got?
is,
You
Mark.
got some now, Mark, you can't have preacher words, but you got some parting words because I'm gonna get these thank yous into all these people.
So this is an incredible group I've had the honor to work with. I have been up since 6 a.m. Monday morning, not just 24 hours. So I'm gonna go try to find a few minutes to sleep before I go to Selma and not sleep at all. God bless you all. Really great to work with Ashley and Holly and Lolo and all of you two, Angela and Joy. Vince and I were just talking, you know, I think we're gonna do something. We're gonna do something here. I think we've proven what we can do. So can't wait, y'all. Can't wait.
Can't wait. And before I say anything, I know we're over time. If y'all gotta drop, you just gotta drop, but I am gonna yield this time to this sister that has been the glue. Y'all don't see her often, but when she shows up with joy. She shows up with patience. She is the chair of the Elemental P community. She knows what that is. I meant to say committee, but it's late and I'm tired. The Elemental P committee. That is Holly Holiday. Holly Holiday, outstanding. She gonna shout out her podcast right now because she got in trouble with her podcast co-host. Shout out the podcast, Holly. You know you are a gangster. Like, I don't know. Elon Musk, I keep saying Elon Musk got to run for his money because she got integrity and a moral basis and a moral compass. Holly Holiday, you got to say something before we leave.
I'm gonna do y'all like Russell Simmons used to do on Def Comedy Jam because it is the most appropriate thing to say. Thank you and good night.
Before you hang up on us, Holly, I got some other people to thank since you gonna be rude and not oblige me. Indulge me rather. See, I'm telling y'all it's late. Ashley Allison.
Yes.
Oh my God. Ashley Allison, Mark Thompson, Holly Holiday, the other Holly Weeks, who works with Holly Holiday. I wanted Lolo. Oh my God. Lolo is Charles Barkley of Native Land Pod. Lauren Lolo Smith, Chloe and Avani on graphics, Bree, Rachel, and Steph Young, who's sitting right here. They are press gurus. The press around this has been fantastic. I want to shout out Essence Studios. Alfonso let me tell you about Alfonso David. See, y'all see the president of Global Black Economic Forum, but that is a political staffer at heart. Jamie Harrison, you know what I'm talking about. He another thought partner. So y'all need to stay close. I want to thank all of the producers, everyone who hosted a segment, every single panelist, Latifah Simon on a response, Latifah Simon on a walkout, Maxine Waters telling you she's 86, working on 36 because she got more energy than most of us. Every single person who tuned in today, every prayer, Bishop Daughtry, who let me call her on the side. I talk about my side preachers. Roy tried to jag me. I'm not going to let you drag me. And Joteka Edie, the infrastructure around Win with Black Women, all the folks who are, talkers. That's all I'm going to say. Thank God for y'all. Vince Evans, who was double timing as a CBC staffer and staffing us. Lisa Blunt Rochester, because your prayers, I know that you were praying with and for us. I thank God for you. I thank God that you're in the Senate. The Senate needs you. For every member of Congress who signed up to participate tonight, to Wes Moore, who opened us up at the 9 p.m. Tish James with the drama on the tape. She was ready. Everybody, we thank you so